Keep an eye out for the golden star that will appear on screen during the video. If you spot it, comment the time frame you saw it in. Get it right, and you'll get a shout out in our next video. Happy hunting! Hidden powers, ordinary people, extraordinary abilities. Riverton basked in the golden glow of a late summer afternoon. Nestled between dense forests and a winding river, the town was a picture of tranquility. Children played on the green, their laughter mingling with the distant hum of cicadas. Neighbors exchanged pleasantries over white picket fences, and the scent of freshly cut grass lingered in the air. This was a place where everyone knew each other, where life moved at a gentle pace, and where nothing out of the ordinary ever happened. Alex Parker watched the children from the window of the small classroom where they taught. At 28, Alex had a kind heart and a patient demeanor that made them a beloved figure in Riverton Elementary. Teaching was more than a job, it was a calling. Alex dreamed of making a difference, of igniting curiosity and passion in their students. Yet, on this particular day, something felt different. "All right, class," Alex said, turning to the eager faces before them. "Tomorrow is a special day. We'll be watching the solar eclipse together. It's a rare event, so be sure to tell your parents to get you special glasses." The room buzzed with excitement. The children peppered Alex with questions, their eyes wide with wonder. Alex answered each one patiently, feeling a flicker of their own excitement. The eclipse was a natural marvel, a reminder of the universe's vastness and mystery. Alex couldn't wait to share it with their students. As the school day ended, Alex walked home, taking the scenic route by the river. The water flowed smoothly, its surface reflecting the late afternoon sun. Alex found peace in these walks, a time to think and breathe. Today, their thoughts drifted to the eclipse and the lesson plans for the next day. The air was warm, and the familiar sights of Riverton brought a sense of comfort. But as Alex rounded the bend near the old oak tree, they spotted something unusual. A group of people had gathered, all staring at a man who seemed to be preaching about the upcoming eclipse. His voice carried a strange intensity, and his eyes gleamed with fervor. "This eclipse is no ordinary event," the man proclaimed. "It is a sign, a herald of change. Be prepared for the unknown." Alex paused, curiosity piqued. The man's words lingered in the air, adding an odd note of foreboding to the otherwise serene day. Riverton was not a place for wild proclamations, yet here was this stranger, stirring up a crowd. Shaking off the unease, Alex continued home, reminding themselves that people often came up with wild theories about natural events. Still, the man's words echoed in their mind. A herald of change. What could he mean by that? The next morning dawned bright and clear. Riverton was abuzz with anticipation. Parents walked their children to school, reminding them to keep their special glasses safe. The excitement was palpable, a shared sense of wonder that brought the community even closer. In the classroom, Alex handed out the glasses, explaining once more the importance of not looking directly at the sun. The children fidgeted in their seats, barely containing their excitement. Alex glanced at the clock. Only a few more minutes. Finally, the moment arrived. The sky darkened, and a hush fell over Riverton. The children, wearing their glasses, gazed up at the sky in awe. Alex felt a surge of pride and joy, sharing this moment with them. It was a perfect day. But then it happened. A burst of light, far brighter than the sun, enveloped the town. Alex felt a strange energy wash over them, tingling through their body. The children gasped, some shrieking in surprise. Alex's heart raced as they looked around, seeing the same bewilderment and fear in the eyes of their students. What is this?" Alex thought, trying to remain calm. The light faded as quickly as it had appeared, leaving behind an eerie silence. The eclipse continued, but something had changed. Alex could feel it deep within, a new sensation, a power that had awakened. The rest of the day passed in a blur. The children were restless, the strange event leaving them unsettled. Parents arrived early to pick up their kids, sharing concerned glances and hushed conversations. Alex stayed late, trying to process what had happened. As the sun set over Riverton, Alex stood by the river once more, gazing at the water. The peaceful flow seemed unchanged, yet everything felt different. What was that light? And why do I feel different? Alex wondered. The calm town of Riverton had been touched by something extraordinary. The peaceful days of summer were about to give way to a season of mystery and discovery. And Alex Parker, the kind-hearted schoolteacher, was at the heart of it all. Riverton woke up to an uneasy dawn. The strange light from the previous day lingered in the minds of everyone who had witnessed it. Conversations were hushed, and eyes were wary as people tried to make sense of what had happened. Alex Parker felt an undercurrent of anxiety as they walked to school. The air seemed thicker, charged with anticipation and a hint of fear. Entering the classroom, Alex noticed the children were unusually quiet. Normally, they would be chattering excitedly, but today, they sat in small groups, whispering. Alex took a deep breath, trying to project calm and reassurance. "Good morning, everyone," Alex began, their voice steady. "I know yesterday was strange and a bit scary. Does anyone want to talk about what they saw or felt?" A few hesitant hands rose. As the children began sharing their experiences, Alex noticed a common theme, a strange energy, an unexplainable feeling. Alex listened intently, nodding and offering comforting words. It was clear that they weren't the only one who had felt different. After school, Alex decided to walk through the town square. They needed to see if anyone else had theories or explanations about the previous day's events. As they approached the center of town, they spotted a small crowd gathered near the community bulletin board. At the center was the same man who had been preaching near the old oak tree. "This eclipse marked the beginning of something new," the man was saying, his voice carrying a fervor that drew people in. "We must be ready for the changes it will bring." Alex pushed through the crowd, curiosity overpowering their apprehension. They wanted answers, and this man seemed to have some. "Excuse me," Alex said, stepping forward. "Can you explain what you mean by something new? What changes are you talking about?" The man turned to Alex, his eyes gleaming with intensity. "Ah, you felt it too, didn't you? The energy, the power. It wasn't just an eclipse. It was a catalyst." "A catalyst for what?" Alex pressed, feeling a mix of frustration and intrigue. "For unlocking potential," the man replied. "For awakening abilities that lie dormant within us." Alex's mind raced. Abilities? Potential? It sounded absurd, yet a part of them couldn't dismiss it entirely. They had felt something, after all. Something real and powerful. "I need to understand more," Alex said, their voice firm. "Can you help me?" The man nodded. "Meet me at the old oak tree tonight. There are others like you. Together, we can learn what this means." As the sun set, Alex found themselves back at the old oak tree. A few others had gathered, each wearing expressions of curiosity and apprehension. The man from earlier greeted them with a nod. "Thank you for coming," he began. "My name is Elias, and I believe we have all been chosen for a reason. The energy from the eclipse has awakened something within us, and we must learn to harness it." Elias began to explain how he had felt the same energy, and had started noticing changes within himself. His story resonated with the group, each person nodding in agreement, sharing their own experiences. Alex listened, feeling a sense of solidarity. They weren't alone in this. The group discussed their newfound abilities, from heightened senses to strange, inexplicable skills. Alex shared their experience of feeling a strange connection to time itself, a sensation of being able to manipulate its flow. "We need to practice, to understand what we are capable of," Elias said. "But we must also be cautious. Not everyone will understand or accept what we can do." The group dispersed with a sense of purpose and caution. Alex walked home, their mind buzzing with possibilities. They felt a new sense of responsibility and determination. The peaceful days of Riverton had indeed given way to a season of mystery and discovery. But now, Alex had allies and a glimmer of understanding. They were ready to face whatever came next. As Alex lay in bed that night, their thoughts drifted to the days ahead. What abilities lie dormant within me? How can I use this power for good? They wondered. The journey of self-discovery had begun, and there was no turning back. The next morning, Riverton buzzed with unease. People moved through their routines, but an air of wariness lingered. Alex Parker felt it keenly as they walked to school. The children still whispered among themselves, their usual chatter replaced by nervous glances and hushed conversations. Alex tried to maintain a sense of normalcy, but the questions from the previous night swirled in their mind. In the classroom, Alex attempted to engage the students in their lessons, but it was clear that the strange energy from the eclipse still haunted them. During a break, Alex overheard snippets of conversations among the children, mentioning strange dreams and unexplained occurrences. It seemed that everyone had been touched by the event in some way. By midday, Alex decided to visit the town library, hoping to find any historical records or scientific explanations for what had happened. The librarian, Mrs. Thompson, a sharp-eyed woman in her 60s, greeted Alex warmly but with a hint of curiosity. "Alex, dear, you look like you've got the weight of the world on your shoulders. What brings you here today?" she asked, her tone gentle. "I was wondering if you had any books or records about unusual celestial events or local legends about eclipses." Alex replied, trying to sound casual. Mrs. Thompson raised an eyebrow. "Is this about that strange light during the eclipse? You're not the first one to ask. There's definitely something odd about it." As she led Alex to a section of old books and dusty records, Alex felt a mix of anticipation and dread. What if there were answers here? What if there were none? After hours of sifting through books, Alex stumbled upon an old journal belonging to a local historian from the 1800s. It contained references to an ancient prophecy about a solar burst that would awaken latent powers in those chosen by fate. The language was archaic, but the message was clear. This wasn't the first time Riverton had experienced something like this. Could it really be true? Alex thought, their heart racing. The journal described how previous individuals had developed unique abilities and how they had banded together to protect the town from outsiders who sought to exploit them. As Alex left the library, their mind was a whirlwind of thoughts. They needed to share this information with Elias and the others. But first, they had to get through the rest of the school day. Returning to the classroom, Alex noticed a black SUV parked across the street. Two men in suits stood beside it, scanning the area with sharp, observant eyes. Alex felt a surge of unease. Who are they, and what are they doing here? Alex wondered. The presence of the men in suits added a new layer of tension. Throughout the day, Alex saw them talking to various townspeople, always polite but persistent. By the time school ended, Alex had a sinking feeling that Riverton was being watched. That evening, as Alex walked to the old oak tree for the meeting, they kept an eye out for the black SUV. The streets were quiet, and the only sound was the rustling of leaves in the gentle breeze. Arriving at the tree, Alex saw the familiar faces of Elias and the others, all looking equally concerned. Elias, Alex began, holding up the old journal. I found something in the library. An old prophecy about a solar burst and awakening powers. This isn't the first time it has happened. Elias took the journal, his eyes scanning the pages quickly. This confirms what I've been feeling, he said. But we have another problem. There are men in town, likely from the government or some organization. They're looking for us. The group exchanged worried glances. What do we do? One of them asked, their voice tinged with fear. We need to stay hidden and keep practicing our abilities. Elias said firmly. We can't let them find out who we are or what we can do. We have to be ready to defend ourselves and the town. Alex nodded, feeling a sense of urgency. The peaceful days of Riverton were well and truly over. They were now part of something much larger and more dangerous. I'll do whatever it takes to protect us, Alex thought, determination hardening within them. As the meeting ended, Alex walked home, the weight of responsibility heavy on their shoulders. The questions from the previous night had given way to a clear resolve. They had to understand their power, train with the others, and stay one step ahead of those who would exploit them. Back at home, Alex stood by the window, watching the moon rise over Riverton. The town looked so peaceful, yet they knew the tranquility was deceptive. We have to stay strong, Alex thought. For ourselves and for Riverton. The night was filled with the sounds of crickets and the distant call of an owl. Alex knew that the journey ahead would be fraught with danger and uncertainty, but they also knew they weren't alone. With the support of their newfound allies, Alex was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The shadows of suspicion might be growing, but so was their resolve. The adventure had truly begun. The days following the meeting at the old oak tree were filled with a tense quiet. Riverton, though maintaining its outward appearance of normalcy, had an undercurrent of anxiety. People were cautious, their movements deliberate, as if each step carried the weight of their newfound reality. Alex Parker felt this tension deeply, balancing their responsibilities as a teacher with the urgent need to understand and control their powers. In the evenings, Alex and the others would gather at the oak tree, their sanctuary away from prying eyes. Elias led these sessions, guiding the group through exercises designed to harness their abilities. Each person had a unique power, and as they practiced, a sense of camaraderie grew among them. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Elias called the group together. Tonight we'll focus on control and precision, he announced. Alex, let's start with you. Alex stepped forward, their heart pounding. They had been practicing in secret, but now it was time to test their limits in front of the group. Okay, Alex thought. Just stay calm and focused. Try to slow down time around that branch, Elias instructed, pointing to a low-hanging limb of the oak tree. Taking a deep breath, Alex concentrated on the branch. They felt the familiar surge of energy, a tingling sensation that spread through their body. Slowly, the world around the branch seemed to decelerate. The leaves rustling became a languid dance, and a nearby squirrel appeared to move in slow motion. The group watched in awe. Incredible, one of them whispered. Alex, feeling a rush of excitement, held the control for a few more moments before releasing it. The world snapped back to its normal pace, and the branch swayed naturally again. Well done, Alex, Elias said, his voice filled with encouragement. You're making great progress. As the others took their turns, Alex watched intently, learning from their experiences. They felt a growing sense of unity, a bond forged by their shared struggles and triumphs. It was comforting to know they weren't alone in this journey. After the practice session, the group sat in a circle, discussing their progress and the ever-present threat of the men in suits. We need to be prepared, Elias said, his tone serious. They will come for us eventually, and we must be ready to defend ourselves. What if we tried to find out more about them? Alex suggested. Maybe we can learn who they are and what they want. Elias nodded thoughtfully. That's a good idea. We need to gather information, but we must be cautious. We can't afford to expose ourselves. Over the next few days, Alex and a few others discreetly observed the men in suits. They noted their routines, who they spoke to, and where they went. It became clear that these men were not just idle observers. They were actively searching for something, or someone. One evening, Alex decided to follow them. Keeping a safe distance, they trailed the men as they moved through town. The men eventually stopped at a local diner, meeting with a woman who seemed to be giving them information. Alex strained to hear their conversation but caught only fragments. Need to find them before it's too late, one of the men said. The woman nodded. They'll be at the festival next week. That's your best chance. Alex's heart raced. The town festival was a major event, drawing everyone together. If the men were planning something, it would be there. I need to warn the others, Alex thought. That night, Alex shared the information with the group. They're planning something at the festival, Alex said. We need to be extra careful and ready for anything. Elias looked around at the group, his expression determined. We'll be prepared. This is our home, and we won't let anyone threaten it. As the festival approached, the group intensified their training. Alex focused on refining their control over time, practicing until they could manipulate it with precision. They knew the coming days would test their limits and resolve. The night before the festival, Alex stood by the river, the moon casting a silvery glow on the water. They felt a mix of anticipation and apprehension. Tomorrow, everything could change, Alex thought. But we're ready. We've come this far, and we'll face whatever comes together. The sound of the river flowing steadily reminded Alex of the constant passage of time, a force they had learned to touch but not control completely. With a deep breath, they turned away from the river, ready to face the challenges of the festival and protect Riverton from the lurking danger. The journey of understanding and mastering their powers continued, with the support of their allies and the determination to safeguard their town. The morning of the festival dawned bright and clear. Riverton was alive with excitement, the streets bustling with people setting up stalls, decorating with colorful banners, and preparing for a day of celebration. Despite the festive atmosphere, Alex Parker felt an underlying tension. The memory of the conversation at the diner played over in their mind. The men in suits were planning something, and Alex had to be vigilant. As Alex made their way to the school, they saw familiar faces already enjoying the early festivities. Children ran around with painted faces, and the smell of freshly baked goods filled the air. It was a picture of joy, but Alex knew that beneath the surface, danger lurked. At school, Alex met with their students, who were buzzing with excitement about the festival. They handed out safety instructions and made sure everyone was prepared for the day ahead. Remember to stay with your buddies and keep your eyes open, Alex advised, their tone serious despite the smiles on the children's faces. By noon, the festival was in full swing. Alex wandered through the stalls, keeping a watchful eye on the crowd. They spotted Elias and the others, blending in but staying alert. The black SUV and its occupants were nowhere in sight, but Alex knew they were out there, watching. Mid-afternoon, as Alex helped with a game booth, they noticed a disturbance near the main stage. A group of men in suits had arrived, their presence causing a ripple of unease. Alex's heart quickened. This is it, they thought, moving closer to get a better look. One of the men, tall with a commanding presence, stepped onto the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, he began, his voice smooth but authoritative. We are here to ensure your safety and to investigate the strange occurrences related to the recent solar eclipse. Murmurs spread through the crowd. Alex exchanged a glance with Elias, who nodded subtly. They had to act quickly. Excuse me, Alex said, stepping forward. What exactly are you investigating? The man on the stage turned his sharp gaze to Alex. We have reason to believe that certain individuals have been affected by the eclipse in unusual ways. For the safety of everyone, we need to identify these individuals. And what will you do once you've found them? Alex pressed, trying to keep their voice steady. That is classified information, the man replied, a hint of impatience in his tone. Rest assured, it's for the greater good. The crowd was growing restless, sensing the tension. Alex felt the eyes of the townspeople and the men in suits on them. I need to defuse this situation, Alex thought. But how? Before Alex could speak again, Elias stepped forward. We understand your concern, he said, his voice calm and measured. "But these people are our friends and family. If there are questions, we should address them together, openly." The man on the stage frowned. "That's not how this works. We need to conduct our investigation without interference." Elias didn't back down. "We're not interfering. We're asking for transparency. The people of Riverton deserve to know what's happening." Tension crackled in the air. The crowd murmured in agreement with Elias, their distrust of the men in suits growing. Alex felt a surge of hope. "Maybe we can turn this around," they thought. Just then, a loud bang echoed through the square. Panic erupted as people scattered, seeking cover. Alex's heart pounded as they scanned the area. They spotted a figure running away from the source of the noise, a canister spewing smoke behind them. "Elias, over there!" Alex shouted, pointing to the fleeing figure. Elias nodded, signaling the others to follow. They raced after the figure, weaving through the panicked crowd. Alex felt a surge of adrenaline. "We have to catch them," they thought, pushing themselves harder. As they closed in, the figure stumbled, giving Alex and Elias the chance to tackle them to the ground. The canister rolled away, the smoke dissipating. "Who are you?" Elias demanded, pulling the figure's hood back to reveal a young woman, her eyes wide with fear. "I'm just trying to warn you," she gasped. "They know about you. They're planning to take you all in tonight. You have to hide." Alex's mind raced. "We need to regroup and plan our next move," they thought. "We can't stay out in the open." Elias helped the woman to her feet. "Thank you for the warning. We'll take care of it from here." As they made their way back to the oak tree, Alex felt a mix of fear and determination. The men in suits were making their move, but they wouldn't catch them off guard. They had the support of their friends and the strength of their newfound abilities. That night, gathered under the ancient oak, Alex and the others planned their next steps. They would split into small groups, each with a specific task. Some would gather more information, while others would create distractions to keep the men in suits off balance. "We have to be smart and stay one step ahead," Elias said, his voice firm. "We'll protect each other and our town." As Alex listened, they felt a renewed sense of purpose. They were part of something bigger, and they were ready to fight for it. The festival had revealed the true threat, but it had also shown the strength of their community. With a clear plan and unwavering resolve, Alex and their friends prepared for the challenges ahead. The mask of normalcy had slipped, revealing the dangers lurking beneath. But they were ready to face them, together. The night air was filled with an electric charge as Alex and the group gathered at the oak tree. They huddled in small groups, whispering strategies and sharing intel. Alex's heart raced with a mix of fear and determination. They knew the men in suits were planning something, and they had to be ready. "Elias," Alex said, stepping closer to their leader, "we need to split up and cover as much ground as possible. If they try to corner us, we have to be able to escape quickly." Elias nodded, his eyes scanning the faces of their group. "Agreed. Let's split into pairs. Stay in contact and move quickly. If anyone sees anything suspicious, signal immediately." The group broke into pairs, each armed with their unique abilities and a sense of purpose. Alex paired with a young man named Jordan, whose ability to manipulate light could provide crucial cover if needed. They moved through the darkened streets of Riverton, their senses heightened, ready for anything. As they approached the town square, Alex spotted the black SUV parked near the diner. "There they are," Alex whispered to Jordan. "Let's get closer and see what they're up to." Moving silently, they crept closer, hiding behind a row of parked cars. From their vantage point, they saw the men in suits talking with a few locals. The conversation looked intense, and Alex strained to hear. "We need to move in tonight," one of the men said. "If we don't, we'll lose our chance." Jordan glanced at Alex, his expression tense. "They're planning something big." Before Alex could respond, A figure darted out of a nearby alley, heading straight for the SUV. It was the young woman who had warned them earlier. "Wait!" Alex called out, but she was already in motion. The men in suits reacted immediately, pulling out weapons and aiming at her. Without thinking, Alex activated their power, slowing down time just enough to give the woman a chance to escape. Jordan used his ability to bend light, creating a blinding flash that disoriented the men. "Run!" Alex shouted, and the woman dashed towards them, her eyes wide with fear. As they regrouped behind the cars, the woman gasped for breath. "They're coming for you tonight," she said. "You need to get out of here." "We know," Alex replied. "But we can't just run. We have to stop them." Jordan nodded. "We need to warn the others." With the men in suits temporarily blinded, Alex, Jordan, and the woman made their way back to the oak tree. The rest of the group was already there, waiting anxiously. "They're planning to move in tonight," Alex announced. "We need to be ready for anything." Elias stepped forward, his face grim. "We need to defend ourselves and buy enough time to figure out their plan. Let's set up a perimeter and prepare for an attack." The group sprang into action, using their abilities to fortify their position. Alex focused on their control over time, ready to slow down any threats. Jordan and others set up illusions and traps to confuse and disorient the attackers. As the night wore on, tension filled the air. The sound of footsteps and whispered orders grew closer. Alex's heart pounded as they crouched behind a makeshift barricade, their senses on high alert. Suddenly, a flash of light and the sound of gunfire shattered the silence. The men in suits had arrived, and chaos erupted. Alex slowed down time, allowing their friends to react faster. Jordan's illusions created confusion, making it hard for the attackers to target them accurately. Elias directed the defense, his voice calm but firm. "Hold your positions! Don't let them through!" One of the men broke through the line, heading straight for Alex. Time seemed to slow even more as Alex focused, dodging the attack and using their power to disarm the man. A nearby explosion of light from Jordan sent another attacker sprawling. Despite their best efforts, the attackers were relentless. Alex saw Elias grappling with one of the men, struggling to hold his ground. Summoning all their strength, Alex manipulated time around Elias, giving him the upper hand. With a powerful strike, Elias incapacitated the attacker. The battle raged on, each side pushing their limits. Alex felt exhaustion creeping in but refused to give up. They had to protect their friends and their town. In the midst of the chaos, the young woman who had warned them earlier appeared, wielding a strange device. "This will disrupt their communications," she shouted, activating the device. A high-pitched noise filled the air, and the men in suits faltered, clutching their ears. Taking advantage of the distraction, Alex and the others launched a final push, driving the attackers back. The men in suits retreated, their plans thwarted for the moment. As the dust settled, the group regrouped, breathing heavily but victorious. Elias looked around, his face a mix of relief and determination. "We did it," he said. "But this isn't over. We need to stay vigilant." Alex nodded, feeling a renewed sense of purpose. They had defended their town and their friends, but the threat was still out there. "We'll be ready," Alex thought. "Whatever comes next, we'll face it together." The night sky was beginning to lighten with the first hints of dawn. As they stood under the oak tree, Alex felt a surge of hope. They had faced their first major challenge and come out stronger. The journey ahead would be tough, but they were ready for it. With the support of their allies and the strength of their newfound abilities, Alex knew they could protect Riverton from any threat. The battle had been won, but the war was far from over. They were ready to fight for their future, one step at a time. The sun set slowly over Riverton, casting long shadows that mingled with the growing anticipation in the air. The town festival was in full swing, the streets alive with the sounds of laughter, music, and the vibrant chatter of friends and families enjoying the festivities. Yet, beneath the surface, an undercurrent of tension rippled through the crowd. Alex Parker, along with their group, was acutely aware of the impending threat. Alex moved through the crowd, eyes scanning for any sign of the men in suits. The night air was filled with the scents of food stalls and the sounds of children playing games. Alex's senses were heightened, every noise and movement amplifying their focus. "We have to be ready," they thought, feeling the weight of their responsibility pressing down. Nearby, Elias and Jordan were also on high alert, their eyes darting through the crowd. The group had positioned themselves strategically around the festival grounds, ready to spring into action at a moment's notice. Alex caught Elias's eye, and he gave a subtle nod, signaling that everything was in place. Suddenly, a series of loud pops echoed through the air. Fireworks, exploding in a dazzling array of colors above the festival, briefly distracted the crowd. Alex's heart pounded as they spotted the black SUV slowly cruising through the main street, the men in suits exiting with purpose. "It's starting," Alex whispered into their communicator. "Everyone stay sharp." The men in suits moved with precision, their eyes scanning the crowd for their targets. Alex felt a surge of adrenaline as they positioned themselves behind a booth, ready to act. The crowd's excitement masked the tension among the group, but Alex knew that at any moment, chaos could erupt. One of the men in suits, the tall one with the commanding presence, stepped onto the main stage. His voice cut through the noise of the festival, authoritative and cold. "Ladies and gentlemen, we regret to inform you that there is a security threat. Please remain calm and follow our instructions." The festival goers froze, confusion and fear spreading quickly. Alex watched as the men began moving through the crowd, scanning faces and questioning individuals. "We can't let them take anyone," Alex thought, steeling themselves for action. Elias's voice crackled over the communicator. "Alex, Jordan, disrupt their formations. We need to create enough chaos to get people to safety." "Got it," Alex replied, signaling to Jordan. Jordan's ability to manipulate light created a series of dazzling illusions, causing confusion among the men in suits. Bright flashes and shifting shadows disoriented them, buying the group precious time. Alex used their power to slow time around the attackers, giving Elias and the others the opportunity to move people to safety. The men in suits struggled against the disorienting effects, their attempts to regain control thwarted by the group's coordinated efforts. One of the men broke through the chaos, heading straight for Alex. Time seemed to dilate as Alex focused, dodging his attack and using their ability to throw him off balance. The man stumbled, giving Alex the chance to disarm him and knock him out. In the midst of the confusion, the young woman who had warned them earlier reappeared, clutching a small device. "This will disrupt their communications," she shouted, activating it. A piercing noise filled the air, causing the men in suits to falter, clutching their ears in pain. Elias seized the moment, rallying the group for a final push. "Let's drive them out," he called, his voice strong and clear. The group surged forward, using their abilities to create a whirlwind of resistance that overwhelmed the attackers. Alex moved with precision, using their control over time to anticipate and counter the men's moves. Jordan's illusions continued to create chaos, and the young woman's device kept their communications in disarray. The coordinated effort of the group was relentless, pushing the attackers back step by step. One by one, the men in suits retreated, their plans in disarray. The crowd, initially paralyzed by fear, began to cheer as they realized what was happening. The festival had turned into a battleground, but the people of Riverton were witnessing the strength and unity of their defenders. As the last of the men in suits were driven out, a collective sigh of relief swept through the crowd. The group regrouped under the oak tree, breathing heavily but victorious. Elias looked around at each of them, his face a mix of pride and exhaustion. "We did it," he said, his voice filled with determination. "But we need to stay vigilant. This isn't over." Alex nodded, feeling the weight of the night's events. They had defended their town and their friends, but the threat still loomed. "We'll be ready," Alex thought. "Whatever comes next, we'll face it together." The first light of dawn began to break over the horizon, casting a warm glow over Riverton. The festival grounds, now quiet and peaceful, bore the marks of the night's battle. As they stood under the oak tree, Alex felt a sense of resolve. They had faced their first major challenge and come out stronger. The journey ahead would be tough, but with the support of their allies and the strength of their newfound abilities, they were ready to protect Riverton from any threat. The battle had been won, but the war was far from over. They were ready to fight for their future, one step at a time. The sun rose over Riverton, casting a gentle light on the town that had witnessed so much turmoil the night before. The festival grounds, once a place of joy and celebration, now showed signs of the battle that had unfolded. Despite the fatigue that weighed on Alex Parker and their group, a sense of accomplishment and unity prevailed. As the first rays of dawn touched the oak tree, Elias gathered the group for a debrief. "We did well last night," he began, his voice carrying a blend of pride and caution. "But we can't let our guard down. We know they're still out there, and they won't give up easily." Alex nodded, their mind racing with thoughts of the future. "We need to fortify our defenses and improve our communication," they suggested. "We also need to gather more intel on these men and their organization." The young woman who had helped them the night before, introducing herself as Sophia, stepped forward. "I have some contacts who might be able to provide more information. We need to understand who we're dealing with and why they're so interested in us." Elias agreed. "We'll need to divide our efforts. Some of us will stay here to protect the town, while others gather intelligence and build alliances." As the group discussed their plans, the townspeople began to emerge from their homes, surveying the aftermath of the night's events. The sense of community was strong, and many offered their support and gratitude to Alex and the others. "Thank you for protecting us," Mrs. Thompson, the librarian, said to Alex. "We all knew something was wrong, but you stepped up and defended our town. We're behind you." Alex felt a swell of pride and responsibility. "We'll keep Riverton safe," they replied. "But we'll need everyone's help to do it." With the town rallying around them, the group set their plans into motion. Jordan and a few others began working on enhancing their abilities, finding ways to use their powers more effectively. Alex, along with Elias and Sophia, focused on gathering information and building a network of allies. Days turned into weeks, and Riverton slowly returned to a semblance of normalcy. The festival was rescheduled, this time with increased security and the knowledge that the town had a new, hidden strength. The community spirit was stronger than ever, and the people of Riverton were determined to stand together against any future threats. One evening, as the group gathered under the oak tree for a training session, Elias shared some news. "We've managed to find out more about the organization targeting us," he said. "They're part of a larger network that seeks to control and weaponize people with abilities like ours. They call themselves the Vanguard." A murmur of concern spread through the group. "What do we do now?" Jordan asked. Elias's expression hardened with resolve. "We prepare. We train. And we build alliances with other groups facing similar threats. We can't face the Vanguard alone, but together, we stand a chance." Sophia stepped forward, her eyes shining with determination. "I've reached out to a few contacts, and they're willing to help. We're not alone in this fight." Alex felt a renewed sense of purpose. "We need to continue honing our skills and staying vigilant. The Vanguard won't stop, but neither will we." As the training session began, Alex focused on their control over time, practicing precision and endurance. They knew that their ability would be crucial in the battles ahead. The group worked tirelessly, each member pushing their limits and discovering new strengths. One night, after an intense training session, Alex stood by the river, the moon casting a silvery path on the water. The tranquil scene was a stark contrast to the turmoil of recent events. We're on the right path, Alex thought, feeling a mix of determination and hope. Together, we can protect Riverton and beyond. The months that followed were filled with both challenges and triumphs. The group became more cohesive, their abilities more refined. They established connections with other communities and built a network of resistance against the vanguard. Despite the constant threat, life in Riverton continued. The townspeople adapted to their new reality, finding strength in unity and resilience. The rescheduled festival became a symbol of their determination to move forward, and it was celebrated with even more fervor and joy than before. As Alex looked out over the bustling festival grounds, they felt a deep sense of pride and hope. The journey had been arduous, and the road ahead would undoubtedly bring more challenges. But with the support of their friends and the strength of their community, Alex knew they could face whatever came next. Standing under the oak tree, surrounded by their allies, Alex took a deep breath. We're ready for whatever comes, they thought, feeling a surge of confidence. We'll protect our town and fight for our future, one step at a time. The sun set over Riverton, casting a warm, golden light that signaled not just the end of a day, but the beginning of a new chapter in their journey. United and resolute, Alex and their group prepared to face the future with courage and hope. The battle might have been won, but their fight for peace and safety was just beginning. Together, they were unstoppable. Did you spot the golden star in today's video? If you did, make sure to comment the time you saw it to be mentioned in our next video. Thank you for sharing a moment of your day with me. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Really helps a lot. If you don't, well, I'll still love you. Thanks for stopping by.